All right, ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues, co-workers and customers, welcome to the 2020 Summer Showcase for the Communications Division of Bosch Building Technologies. My name is Greg Compagnone. I am the North American Director of Sales for the brands RTS and Telex Dispatch. On behalf of everyone here at Bosch, we hope you are all safe and healthy during the uncertain time with this COVID pandemic. While we were unable to be with you last week at Infocom, we are happy that you can join us for our summer showcase this week. We're excited to offer over a dozen webinar sessions this week that will include all of our Bosch brands: Bosch Public Address, Bosch Conferencing, Electro-Voice microphones and loudspeakers, Dynacord amplification and processing, and today's subject with RTS Intercom systems. Be sure to register for any of them this week. We have a registration process on the internet, and you can join any of the sessions. Today, we will be discussing the ODIN digital matrix system, along with the next generation of key panels, as well as the DECT-based wireless key panel system called ROAMEO. Other sessions this week for those interested specifically in RTS Intercom products will include industry standards and how they apply to the RTS products. And we also have a session on the new split band BTR30 wireless intercom system, which is a UHF-VHF system for these FCC trying times that we're in. But a little bit of housekeeping first. I wanted to let you know that we are recording this session today. So we'll put it up on YouTube after the week is done. Along with all the other sessions this week, we'll be recording as well. They'll be up on YouTube. So if you have some colleagues that couldn't make it to one of the sessions, we can replay them for them. And also, we have a question and answer session at the end of the presentation. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat window, and we will go through them at the end and answer them for you. But before we get started, I wanted to show you a little video clip that showcases how RTS is the #1 choice for all of your intercom needs. We call this the RTS difference. Sean's going to hit the video for us, and we'll take a look at it. All right, thanks, Sean. That is the RTS difference. What makes us a little bit different is that right there. Today's topic is the OMNEO digital intercom matrix, known as the ODIN. All RTS technologies in a single rack matrix, including Dante audio, RVON over the network, and the classic analog in-out for party line intercom. As mentioned, we will also cover the next generation panels today and the ROAMEO wireless key panels as well. But let me tell you a little bit about Sean Anderson. He will be presenting today. Sean started with Telex Communications way back in January 1991 as the first technician assigned to this new business we know as RTS. Sean has worked in several roles over the years, including manufacturing, quality control, testing, design, engineering, system support, and for the last 7 years, he's been the global product manager. Currently, Sean is the manager for all systems design and the applications teams globally. So if you have any technicians that come out to commission your systems, Sean manages that team across the globe, and he takes care of all that for you. And those of you who know Sean, he's been with us a long time. He's a wealth of knowledge here at RTS. He is the brand RTS. A lot of people say there's a little folklore with RTS that Sean is actually the S in RTS. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Sean, and he'll take us through the ODIN product, the key panels, and the ROAMEO wireless. Take it away, Sean.
Thanks a lot, Greg. Nice build up, nothing like pressure. Thank you very much. I want to thank everybody for attending our summer showcase here. As Greg said, unfortunately, we could not see you last week in Infocom. So we want to give you an overview of the new ODIN system, our key panels, and as Greg mentioned, the ROAMEO wireless system. So we'll go ahead and we will start with the ODIN. ODIN is our newest matrix in our key panel line. This is a 1RU matrix built on our OMNEO technology and is a single 1RU chassis, scalable from 16 to 128 ports. And the unit can be connected up to 8 units, giving you 1,024 ports non-blocking. Now, as we go through the different features of the ODIN system, ODIN's been available for about the last 2 years. We have many different installs already on this system, everything from 1RU all the way up to several 8 chassis systems are currently running in the field. We've had, I think, a total of about 3 failures all out of box, so it is a highly reliable, very robust unit. We'll start with the front panel and the rear panel overview here. As we go across the front panel, we've added in extra connections, and we have added a management port on the front with status indications, so you can look at whether the unit is in standby, active, if there's an active fault on the unit. These are on the left-hand side of the display. We have a color display in the center of the unit. Now, this is unique to the ODIN system. This allows you programmability of the unit itself. So for those of you who are familiar with our AZ Edit program, about 95% of the functionality within AZ Edit can all be done from the front panel of the unit. So you do not have to run to the computer to make very quick changes. Those can be done through the shaft encoders on the left and right hand side of the display. And you just navigate to the menu items similar to what you would do in AZ Edit and make those changes in real time. Now, we also have added a keypad to the front of this, which is new for our Matrix products. This allows you to punch in things like IP addresses for the OMNEO ports, for the RVON ports, and we'll dig into those a little bit as we go on. But yes, so alphanumeric keypad is unique to the ODIN system. Then on the far right-hand side, we have independent power switches for redundant power supplies. So if there is an issue, you can disengage a single supply, fully redundant, fully auto switching, so it works from 90 volts up to 240 volt power. Now, as we go across the back of the unit, you can see on the left-hand side here, dual power cord setup. We offer the ODIN with locking power cords, so there is no risk of people tripping on a cord or vibration working the power cords out. So we do have a locking power supply connection now. The 16 RJ45s just to the right of those are analog connections for our legacy key panels or any 4-wire device. Those support 4-wire audio in and out, as well as RS-485 data for our older key panels. The 2 connectors just to the right of those are for traditional party lines. These are typically found in theater applications, AV setups, corporate AV. This has full support for up to 2 of those, and they are multi-format, so they will support RTS, the legacy Telex brand, as well as Clearcom intercom formats. Then we have general purpose input outputs. So there are 4 physical relays on this for keying things like stage lighting, on air, if you want house PA for theater applications, 4 physical contact relays, as well as 4 opto-isolated GPI inputs. And then the next connector here, the RJ45, this is for things like our relay chassis or level control panels, auxiliary panels that allow you to do additional functionality. The unit itself can support up to 256 physical relays with the use of GPIO 16 boxes. So depending on what your need is for external control, either in or out of the ODIN system, we allow you a vast number of different contact possibilities. Now, just to the right of that, there is a group of 4 SFP fiber cages. Those are what is known as the IFL. This is the interconnect frame link between ODIN systems. We'll dig into this a little bit more as we go on, but this is how you create larger and larger ODIN systems depending on the size and the need of your use. We also have control, which is your AZ-EDIT connection, or RVON. The RVON connection is for long distance audio, which you can put on public internet. This is a technology that we've had around for about 15 years and allows you to simply remote devices across public internet with about 4K frequency response on the audio. We also allow it to connect to other RVON systems, whether it be in an ATOM, an ATOM-M, direct to Keypanels. So it has a wide variety of different connections and uses. Now, the BNC just to the right of that, that is for word clock. If you do use word clock as your house sync, this is how you sync up the analog connections to your house word clock. Very simple BNC connection. And each one of them, each ODIN has an independent word clock. This is not distributed through the IFL, so if you do have more than one ODIN, you simply do a distribution on this between the different ODINs. Okay, and then the next group of 4 connectors, these are the OMNEO connections. OMNEO is a Bosch technology that's used across several of our different business units. And what OMNEO is OMNEO is uncompressed high fidelity audio, 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. This is fully compatible with Dante. So any Dante device is directly compatible and can be routed in and out of any ODIN channel. These also support AES-67 and 2110-30, which is a very popular topic the last year and a half here. So that OMNEO connection is multi-format, IP connection, and again, 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. Now, we support primary and secondary connections for those of you who are familiar with glitch-free audio. This allows a primary connection in the event of a network failure or problem will seamlessly switch over to the secondary connection in 1 or 2 milliseconds, thus the name glitch-free. So we also support it on RJ45, as well as just to the right, you'll notice that there are 2 fiber SFP cages. So we can actually go fiber direct to our key panels now, as well as RJ45, just depending on what your use case is. Now, the ODIN itself, as I mentioned before, this is a menu-driven screen from the front panel. This is a new philosophy that we've done in that we've gone with more icon-driven menus. In the upper screen here, we have the status menu. You have configurations, settings, and alarms. It allows you to see the ODIN, what its version is, and how many ports it's actually configured for. We've gone to a more icon-driven menu as we see the industry changing more to smart devices with phones, tablets, things of this nature. People are more used to icons, so it was a logical choice to move to a more icon-driven menu. It also is more universal for multi-country use, that icons are not text-specific, so you don't have to worry so much about language. So all of our different products going forward will be more icon-based, more simple, intuitive interface. Now, to navigate between these different icons, you use the knobs on the left or right hand of the display. One is for navigation, the other one is for selection. And again, you can set things like IP addresses and different information from this screen. You can see the status of things like temperatures of your fan usage, different IP connections, how many people are physically connected to the ODIN, network configuration. You can see every aspect of what is going on within the intercom itself. Now, some of the very basic use cases here. This is a mixed system of traditional legacy analog panels as well as our new IP panels. Our IP panel series is called the KP series, and we'll go into depth in that in a little bit here. But this first use case just shows a mix of the new and the old panels. The blue lines represent the IP panels, the orange, the traditional legacy panels. Now, the ODIN will support key panels going all the way back to the KP967. These panels were designed about 35 years ago, and this is something we actually take quite a bit of pride in, is our backwards compatibility. So you as the end user do not lose your investment in the RTS products. Your legacy panels still work on our matrix that we produced 2 years ago, as well as the ones that we develop in the future. So you never have to worry about your investment. We try and protect that, and we keep the backwards compatibility as a strong point within RTS. Now, the next use case here, whoops, that's interesting. Give me 1 second. Love computer glitches. For some reason, it shut down the PowerPoint. Give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Use case 2. This depicts a ODIN running with a OMNEO or with a ROAMEO system. ROAMEO is our wireless DECT key panel. We'll cover this in a bit more detail too as we go through the presentation. This is showing an RSTP loop. We do support full RSTP redundancy within the network, as well as I had mentioned previously, glitch-free. These panels connect up to the OMNEO connection, same as our IP key panels, and essentially operate as a wireless IP key panel. We chose the DECT frequency as DECT is a protected spectrum for telephony devices, so you don't have to worry about different spectrum sell-offs depending on which country you're in. We do offer this in US DECT frequencies as well as the European EU frequencies that cover about 95 to 98% of the globe. Now, the use case 3 here, this is showing a combination of 2-wire, OMNEO, and analog connections. As I mentioned before, there are 2 XLR 3-pin connectors on the back that are direct connections for the actual 2-wire interface. Now, it does not supply power. As I show here, there is a PS20 power supply that has been added to the unit. This powers your actual TW system. Same thing would apply if you're using a Clearcom or a Telex. You would use either a PS4001 or the appropriate Clearcom supply. So this will interface any existing party line systems, whether you're doing AV events or theater events or other things. If you have existing equipment, we have the ability to interface that equipment. Again, maintain your investment. Now, this is, again, just showing an overall system with the ODIN, legacy key panels, analog, as well as IP. Now, the next one here is showing the actual ODIN in an RVON key panel situation. As I mentioned before, RVON is our long-distance IP interconnect, about 4 kilohertz response. It allows you to be able to use public internet, VPN, LAN, whatever IP connection you have to this panel, it will connect up. Now, any of the KP series key panels, you simply change the load, the software load on it from OMNEO to RVON. That RVON software is available on our website. We do not charge for it, and then gives you the ability to convert it from OMNEO to RVON. So very simple and easy to use. Okay, we'll go in depth here in a little bit of what's called the IFL, or the inner frame link. As I mentioned before, this is a group of 4 SFP fiber cages. These are how you interconnect the ODIN. You can run ODIN as a standalone, but as your needs grow, you can add more frames as you go. You simply go to the frame mapping table, tell it there's a second frame, what its IP address is, and then connect the fiber between them. The SFP fibers can support multi-mode or single mode, depending on what you have as your infrastructure. And there is a primary and a secondary link for redundancy. We have 4 different levels of connectivity and 2 different levels of redundancy available in the ODIN. Example 1 here just shows a simple up and down link. One to the next is a daisy chain. This is a non-redundant application. Number 2A, this shows a redundant ring. So if there's any break in the ring, the signal will actually turn around and take the alternate path, so you have connectivity between all frames. 2B, this is a redundant daisy chain. So if you lost your primary, it will switch to the secondary. And then number 3 here, this shows a double redundant ring. So this actually has 2 levels of redundancy that you would have to have a complete failure in both sets of fiber before you would ever achieve an actual disconnect between frames. Now, the SFPs are sold separately. So again, you can pick and choose whether it's multi-mode or single mode, depending on what your end user application is. Okay, the next topic we will transition into is the actual KP series key panel. The KP series key panel has been around since 2015. This is our newest line of key panels, and we offer a full line of panels from rack mount to desktop to wall mount. We'll cover a little bit of each of these as we go through the presentation. This has a full color TFT display. As you can see here, there's a wide variety of panels. And the KP series panels come with OMNEO native on the motherboard. We do not do option kits anymore. All of our key panels come with everything as standard. The only options that we have is a couple of software add-on packages, but from a hardware standpoint, we made it much simpler to order in that everything comes with all the options installed. That's whether it's our 1RU panel, our 2RU, or our desktops. We do offer a value series line that has a reduced connector set known as the KP 3016. I'll cover those in a bit of detail as well. But every single panel now, just to make it simplified, comes with all the options installed. The only thing you have to choose is whether you want a 4-pin or a 5-pin headset on the front panel itself. So let's cover the actual panels themselves. And some of the new features available is we added a lot of audio performance features. We have new compressor limiters. We've got new noise filtering that we've added into the DSP section of it. 5-band equalization, mixing and metering. All these come standard as part of our software package within the actual key panel itself. Now, to give you a run through on the key panel, we have brand new TFT displays that we started using. These have full 360-degree view capability, so you can see them off axis from any direction, whether it's mounted above you on an upper rack mount above, say, an audio console, or is down in a traditional desktop console. No restrictions in the view angle whatsoever. We have new keys that we've designed. We have 4-axis control, so up and down are talk and listen. Left and right are volume control, so you can actually adjust the individual volume on a key-by-key basis. If you have one particular user who's a little soft, you can raise the volume of just that cross point to yourself. We also have the aux and scroll control on the upper right-hand side, as well as main volume. We've repositioned the speaker from our previous panel that was previously in the center of the unit. We've located that to the right-hand side across from the panel mic, a little bit better audio isolation. We've redone the navigation keypad to make it a bit more intuitive. And also, again, the 5-pin compatible headset. This also supports a 4 or a 6-pin headset depending on needs. We'll transition to the rear panel. Now, as I mentioned before, everything comes with all the connections standard. We've added a locking power supply connection on this, so it will not vibrate out, will not pull out, or fall out, I should say. Just to the right of that, we do have an auxiliary speaker connection. If you want to put it to, say, a little bit louder monitor speakers, you do have the ability to take that connection off the rear and take that to powered loudspeakers. We offer 2 physical aux inputs on XLR. There is also, via the software package I had mentioned previously, to add 6 additional auxes via the IP connection. So these panels can support up to 8 aux inputs, individually controlled. There is a rear headset connector. This is typically used if you want to remote this, say, to a under-the-desk type of headset connection, something a little easier to access to so you don't have cables draped over the work surface. We have 2 additional mics. We have an external mic if you want to use a higher quality type full fidelity microphone. We also have a line out or a mic out, what is referred to as a hot mic connector. There is the frame connection, which is our analog connection, legacy, 4-wire audio in out, as well as our RS-45. Now, one thing we have changed in this panel is this is actually a dual format panel. Traditionally, we used to wire what was referred to as USOC. It's a little unique, but was very robust and easy to work with. We've made this even simpler now in that we now support 568B wiring, so traditional Ethernet wiring. Makes it easier for the end user. You can buy cables off the shelf to connect these, and pretty much every person who does system wiring knows how to wire a 568B connection. So this is actually now dual format. So if you have an existing install, you can add these with your existing wiring, or if you're doing a new install, you can just use traditional Ethernet cabling. The expansion connection there. We do offer expansion panels, which I'll touch on in another slide, which gives you rows of additional keys. This unit itself shows 32 user assignments, but if you need to expand that to 48, 64, and so on, we do offer an expansion panel, which just simply connects via Ethernet cable on the expansion connection here. The key panel itself also supports relays locally, as well as some opto-isolated inputs. If you have the need for a localized relay function, this allows connection, and these are on simple Phoenix type connectors. And then as we get to the far right, these are our OMNEO connections. So you have 2 RJ45s and an SFP fiber. As I'd mentioned before, you can go fiber direct to the panels now, or you can use the traditional RJ45. Now, there are 2 on board. This allows for RSTP connections, or if you're not running RSTP, if you have that turned off, this will allow you to actually connect to a panel and loop to a second panel. Up to 7 panels total can be connected in a daisy chain configuration. This becomes very handy when you're doing very simple ad hoc events like a corporate AV event, where you don't have to lay down a whole bunch of wiring. If you have 2 or 3 people at a remote location, you can take a single long run of Ethernet and then loop them locally on the desk at that location. So you don't have to pull 3 long runs. So again, very simple to deploy, easy to operate. Now, if you don't need a full 32 keys, we do offer this in a 16 key package. Same exact functionality. We've simplified the UX so all the panels operate identically. The menus are the same, the keys operate the same, the displays are the same. And again, this is just a smaller 16 key version of the larger 5032 unit. Has the speaker on the right hand side, again, aux and scroll control as well as main volume. And again, the same left-right functionality for level control, up and down for talk and listen. Rear panel, again, identical to the 5032 panel where you've got your power, external speaker, aux inputs, and again, this one can also take the software package for the 6 additional auxes. Headset, microphones, and the traditional connections for analog or OMNEO connections. We tried to keep this as simple as possible. And again, on the SFP, same with the ODIN. These can be multi-mode or single mode depending on what your house wiring is utilizing. Now, for an expansion panel, I had mentioned that we do have the ability to expand the number of keys on a panel. We have unified this down to a single expansion panel. The EKP 4016 will work on the 5032 32 key unit or on the KP 4016 16 unit. You can support up to 8 pages, meaning that on the 32 key unit, you can add 6 of these additional EKP expansion panels, up to 7 on the 4016. So you can view up to 8 full pages. This may be a lot of keys for some people, but we can display up to 128 keys on a given station if you so desire or need that capability. We simplified this down to a single interface, so it doesn't matter what you're using, whether it's our KP series key panels, our IFB assignment panels. This expansion panel works on the entire line of product from RTS now. All of our newer series panels. So we tried to keep it simple, reduce the number of SKUs, make it less confusing for end users, integrators, installers to actually order panels, know how to connect them. So we've reduced this down to a single universal interface. Now, for very basic applications, we offer the KP 3016 and the KP 3016A. The difference between these 2 units is the A is analog only, meaning that it does not support OMNEO. If you have very basic install where you do not need or do not have access to an IP infrastructure, the 3016A is a traditional analog unit. So RS-485 data connections as well as the 4-wire audio in and out. The 3016 does have OMNEO connections, and on the bottom here you can see these units do not come with all of the accessory pieces. So you don't have all the aux inputs, things of that nature. This is for a very basic audio user position that doesn't need all the bells and whistles. It also has a very simplified keypad in that it has menu, and then you've got scroll capability to do some very basic programming assignments. This is what we call an entry-level panel, or very basic, for somebody who just needs to talk, listen, and doesn't interact with a lot of different users or need a lot of the horsepower supplied with the 2 previous key panels. Simple RJ45 analog connection as well as OMNEO. Now you'll also notice this has a single OMNEO connection. So it does not have the SFP fiber or the secondary connection. So again, to reduce the cost, this has a stripped down set of features and options available. And again, just a very basic entry level key panel.
And the last one here in the series here is we do offer what is referred to as the DKP or WKP 4016. This is a wall mount or a desk mount station. The one here depicted in the actual graphic is the desktop, but to run this as a wall mount, you literally can remove the top cover, turn it 180 degrees around, rescrew it back in, and it will now operate as a wall mount panel. There are universal mounts on the bottom that allow you to actually wall mount this. It has all locking connectors for that application, so you don't have any cables come loose, but is very easy to use, very easy to flip it around. As you can see, it comes with the rear connect kit options already installed. It has a single aux input. There just physically wasn't enough real estate for two. But this can accept the software package to give you up to 8 auxes on IP. It has the mic out connection as well as external mic input. This has a Intercom frame connection. Again, a locking connector because of the fact that it can be wall mounted. It needed to have a secure connection on the back of it itself. Also has 4 relays as the previous models for opto-isolated inputs, as well as the dual Ethernet connectors and the SFP fiber. Now this one has 16 keys, but they are in a lower row and upper row configuration just due to the form factor. Has the exact same keypad as the 4016 or 5032s. Same interface, same functionality. Again, we've unified the UX, so no matter what panel you walk up to, you can be confident that you know how to operate it because they all operate identically. Okay, from here we will transition into the last section here, which is the ROAMEO. Now, ROAMEO is our wireless DECT-based system. This truly operates as a wireless key panel. DECT is, again, a protected spectrum within RF for telephony devices. Now, the ROAMEO does work with our full line of intercoms, whether it be an ATOM, ATOM-M, or the ODIN system. This uses our OMNEO technology from the access point to the matrix itself, and then from the access point to the actual Beltpack itself is DECT. So similar to any of our key panel setups, you set up the IP connection, you give it key assignments within AZEdit, and this operates exactly the same as a key panel for the most part. Now, coverage areas, again, these are set up by the access points, which I'll touch on here in a minute, and will allow you to deploy everything from a simple single access point to multiple access points. Now, the ROAMEO system itself, the Beltpack, is laid out very similar to our key panels. You've got a talk and a listen key. You actually have a call waiting window, so if you're getting a call from a user who's not on your assigned keys, you can simply reply from the call waiting window. So it's kind of a pseudo fifth key. On the front, there is an on-off button. There are the navigations, both left and right of the color display. This has the same type of TFT full color display as on any of our traditional key panels. Works very well in bright daylight or sunlight, and allows you a very easy set of icons to navigate the menus themselves. We have a volume control on the top, which also is an encoder, so you can turn the knob for volume control. Certain functionality, you simply press the volume control and can turn on different features or enable different things through that. Now, for the bottom of it, this is where all the connections to headsets come in play. You've got the XLR 5-pin. You've also got a 3.5 millimeter connection. This is a TRRS connection for things like traditional iPhone type headsets. They can also be used as a aux input, which you can actually feed back to the matrix. So you could insert an aux program source locally,
put that back into the ODIN system and distribute that to other users. So it can be used as an entry point for program audio if need be. Now there is also a USB connection on the bottom of it. This is strictly for firmware updates. I looked at this system when we were designing it. There was the capability of doing software updates via wireless. I traditionally try and stay away from that because things can brick through wireless connections. So this simply uses just a USB thumb drive. It takes about 10 seconds to upgrade a Beltpack with a very secure, reliable connection. So you don't have to worry about Beltpacks bricking or anything. Now, as I'd mentioned before, we've unified our actual software interfaces. So as we look at several of the displays here, the talk and listen assignments and the alpha assignments on the panels look identical to the key panels themselves. So you've got up to anywhere from 4 to 8 alphas available on each of the individual keys. You've got the red and green talk and listen bars, same as on a key panel. You also have the different color tiles, which can depict things like point-to-point, a party line application, things like special lists, IFBs can each be represented in their own color, similar to any of our devices. On the bottom of the home screen here, we give you several icons indicating things like battery life. This will show you in a graphical as well as a percentage of battery life. Shows you different aspects, like if you have a hot mic enabled, your connection to your matrix, your deck connection, RSSI strength. So you can see very quickly all the different important parameters within the ROAMEO Beltpack and see where they're currently sitting at. As we go into the main menu, again, icon driven, you've got your audio setup menus, mic setups, things like the lighting if you want to dim the lighting on the talk listen keys, the displays. There's several different alert functions which you can enable or disable, things like out of range, low battery life. It has a full list of different alarm features that you can select on the fly. We also have the ability to add key assignments. There's a system menu for things like the firmware updates, also looking at log files and such. And there is a basic help menu as well. Now, as we take a look at the different screens, I'd already previously covered the main screen with you, the settings screen. Now, to the far right in the upper corner, there is the level adjust. So you can see things like your microphone gain, things like side tone. If you want Vox enabled for the microphone, this will show you graphically where those are set at. You simply can toggle between them, turning them on or off. Very simple, very intuitive. As I'd mentioned before, you have a full complement of alerts you can turn on. That is represented in the lower left-hand screen. Things like battery life. If you've walked out of your deck range in your roaming range, if you've lost your matrix connection, this will alert you and give you full indication of what is going on the individual Beltpacks themselves. You also have the ability to add talk and listen assignments, as well as go into advanced settings, things like diagnostics, being able to set the PIN number or the login number of the pack itself. So we've tried to make this as simple and as intuitive as possible, getting away from language-specific menus, make it a more universally, more worldwide acceptable product, and also make it more user-friendly for the next upcoming generation of users that are more used to icon-driven menus rather than having to read a bunch of text screens. Now, as we transition here, the access point, as we mentioned before, this is OMNEO from the actual intercom to the access point, and this is the AP1800 access point. This can be daisy-chained up to 5 access points. It is powered from a DC wall supply. It is PoE tolerant, but it is not PoE powered. We do offer PoE adapters that can run PoE or power down the Ethernet cable, and then it peels it off at the end and converts that over to the 3.5 millimeter jack. The antennas on the back are removable. They are also adjustable, so you can optimize coverage patterns on these. You can hang these in multiple different configurations. We offer different mounting patterns. You can mount this on traditional microphone stands. There are rack mount holes. There are also slots for things like Velcro straps for ad hocs. We also offer pole clamp mounting, depending on what you're trying to do to make this very easy. We use a standard Manfrotto pole clamp. We have, as I mentioned, a wide variety of different mounting methods for this. Now, on the front panel, you'll also notice that it has the dual RJ45s as well as the SFP fiber. So same connections as you would have on a key panel, just to make it very easy to deploy and very easy to interconnect different units together. Now, the access point itself can actually run in two different modes. There is the G726 codec, which allows you up to 10 belt packs per access point. We can also operate this in G722, which gives you twice the frequency response, but reduces the belt pack count to 5 belt packs per access point. So it's really a balance between audio fidelity versus capacity. So it just depends on what you're looking for, number of users versus the quality of audio. This is simply done with a checkbox within the actual IP edit software. When you set up your actual IP network, you just pick what codec it's actually operating at. So very simple and easy, and we do have tutorials on how to actually set these up. Now, a single access point, very simple use case one here. This will give you about 600 to 700 feet line of sight coverage. We've had very good test results with this in multiple different environments. So you can go as simple as just a single access point, or if you need to, you can run 2 isolated islands. If you have 2 different areas that you need to cover, whether it be a theater, a house of worship, a corporate AV event, you can assign certain belt packs to one AP and keep those totally isolated from belt packs running on another access point. And there's several different ways to do this with pin numbers and things like that. Or if you need to create a very large system, we can deploy up to 10 or more access points and actually create very large coverage areas, just depending on your needs. And again, these can be run in G726 or G722. Again, audio quality versus capacity. So a lot of options available, very simple to deploy. And again, is it just an extension of the matrix and the key panels themselves. All of this is configured through our IP edit software, which is available for download on the website free of charge. You can grab that, kind of play around with it, and you can see that there is a section here where you can set up the decked information as to what codec it's running. You can create different zones for isolation, set up IP addresses, and so on. And this is just showing the G722. So as you can see here, I have 5 belt packs as opposed to 10 belt packs in the G726 configuration. Okay, we will go ahead then and we will transition if there are any questions that have come up.
Absolutely, Sean. Nice job. I got about 10 questions here, and let's keep an eye on the time. I want to respect everyone's time for the top of the hour. We'll try to make it a nice clean stop, but we have about 10 questions.
Okay.
I'll go down them here. Back to the ODIN, Sean. How do we handle MADI connections on that unit? I don't
Yeah,
think we do.
typically with the Odin, because it is a one-piece motherboard, MADI connections, the best and easiest way to do is a Dante to MADI interface. There's a lot of companies that make these. We've done extensive testing with these, and they work very, very well. So yeah, any Dante to MADI converter will work with the Odin system.
Okay. And then on the KPs, what are the use cases for using the audio option package as an add-on for the KPs?
Yeah, the audio option package is traditionally used if you need more aux inputs, if you want to add a fuller line of, say, compressors for the mic inputs. We offer everything from 1-to-1 to 3-to-1. We do have some enhanced compression packages available as part of the audio option. And then we have a control option, which actually has a lot of unique features in that if I am, say, the system administrator, with the control package, I can actually take over a user's panel, make changes, and then release the panel back to the operator. Say if you have a director that is not very technical, doesn't have the time or the need to learn the advanced menu options, I can take over their panel, make the changes in real time, and then release it back to them without having to run back to the computer or go to the director's position.
Okay. Can the OMNEO technology concurrently support multiple AOIP technologies? For instance, if I'm using Dante to interface IFBs, but want to use 211030 for camera intercom.
No, when you convert an Odin system over to, say, 2110, it converts all the IP channels over to that format. If you did need to do that, the easiest way to do that would be to go with smaller subsets of Odins, have a single Odin running as 2110, another Odin running as Dante, another Odin, say, running as AES67. You could have the Odin set up in smaller channel configurations, say 16 or 32 ports, and just link them, and they will still operate as a single Odin, but you now have the ability to do different formats.
Okay, good. Is there a way to take a hot mic feed off of the OMNEO Dante network?
The hot mic feed traditionally comes off of the panel itself. To do that, the easiest way to do that would be to take the hot mic, reinsert it into the aux of the panel, then send the aux to a port of the matrix. That port is now the hot mic off the panel.
Okay. There's a gentleman, he's working on a design phase to upgrade an OB truck. He'd like to keep it all IP, but can't find a good hardwired Beltpack option. Is there anything out there available to keep everything IP?
There are some companies that do make IP Beltpacks. The first one that comes to mind, of course, would be Studio Technologies. They do have a very simple, easy IP Beltpack, which I have actually used before. It's very simple to use, very easy.
Right, and if you stay tuned, we'll have some new products coming late this year, next year, early. If you're still working on that design, we'll give you a little sneak peek. So let's go to ROAMEO. How well will the ROAMEO Beltpacks hold up outside during a football season?
The ROAMEO Beltpack is an IP53 device. There are cases available which are water protected. I mean, as far as the strength of the pack, it is high impact ABS plastic. So it should hold up to most coaches, depending on how hard they throw it.
Right. We've met some of those coaches in our time, that's for sure. And then also on the APs, is there a fan built in Would that be for noise factor, if someone's asking? What do you think?
No, I think they're more referring to heat. Yeah, the AP1800 does not get hot enough where you need a fan on it. I mean, if you were to, say, mount it inside a plastic like NEMA type enclosure, you might want to have a fan at that point because you're trapping the heat in. But the AP1800 by itself, it has no need for a fan. It does not get that warm.
Okay, a couple more rolling in here. On the ROAMEO Beltpack, can you control the volume down on a source from the Beltpack? I think that means control back to the matrix.
Yep, correct. Yeah, you just hold in the listen button and then just adjust the volume knob. It will act just like the left-right level control on the key panel.
Okay. Is there an app that can run on a PC or a mobile device that allows it to show a communication port?
I think they're talking more like AP Edit or AZ Edit or IP Edit. I mean, you do have the ability to, say, if you were to connect the control port of the ODIN to a Wi-Fi access point, you should be able to get to that. There is a software package that was available called Eve Edit, which was an Apple type device. I'd have to check into that a little bit more. If you could email me, I can follow up with you on that.
Okay. Is there a mount for the AP1800 access point that is quickly detachable for storage?
Yeah, that pole clamp from Manfrotto, that actually just has a thumb screw that goes into the bottom side of the unit. That one, yeah, I mean, it literally takes about 20 seconds to unscrew that, and you can put that in the box with the AP1800.
Okay, and let's do two more here. If I want to connect a key panel to ODIN Intercom through RVON, is it necessary to have a fixed public address to connect both equipment?
Yes, RVON does require fixed static routable IPs because it's going through public internet. The other option is you can have a fixed address on the ODIN end and use a VPN connection box. There are companies like DCB and others that you can do just a VPN back to the ODIN, but one end of it does require a fixed static IP. Okay,
and this last one is a follow-up from the one that you were going to get back on, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an app that can run on a PC or mobile device? Not to edit, but to communicate through the PC mobile device.
Okay. Actually, we do have another system referred to as VLink that does offer basically user stations on Android, Apple, Windows. Yeah, we do offer a matrix referred to as VLink on that. That can be actually interconnected to our hardware-based matrices. So yeah, VLink is a software-based matrix, which does use, what we refer to as soft control panels. So Android, Apple devices, things of that nature. That is a different system, but still can be interconnected to traditional hardware matrix.
That's right. That's right, and we're finding the VLink product, especially during these times of working from home. A lot of producers, directors have been using the VLink interface with the matrix frames to work production from their houses. So with that, I think we're coming up to the top of the hour. We've gotten through all the questions, went through the ODIN product, the KP panels, the ROAMEO products today here on the first day of the showcase. We are, and we have recorded the session, guys, so it'll be on YouTube. So please share it with any colleagues that couldn't make it. And remember, we have about 12 other sessions this week with Electrovoice, Dynacord, Bosch PA, and conferencing that we will have up, and you guys are more than welcome to register for. So again, we want to thank you for stopping by today for the RTS session. Anything else you want to add, Sean, before we head out?
No, again, thanks everybody for attending. I believe, at least from the Intercom standpoint, I believe our next session's on Thursday, which we will focus on wireless products, what can and can't be used within the current FCC spectrum that's available, and we'll go into more depth in the wireless. I believe it's on Thursday afternoon.
That's correct. So with that, thank you all for showing up, and we thank you for coming, and thanks a lot, Sean. Great job.
Okay, thanks everybody.